welcome back. There's ongoing mixed reaction to the ANC's hard stance against its councillors during last week's roll call meeting. During his keynote address at the meeting, Party President Cyril Ramaphosa laid down the law to thousands of ANC councillors. Ramaphosa took aim at ANC-run municipalities, saying Auditor-General reports show many of them are among the worst managed in the country. While others slammed the president for his utterances, some argue it was the right move towards self-correcting. To help us discuss this is Northwest University's Professor Kedibone Phago. Prof, good to have you on the program this evening. So firstly, President Ramaphosa describes the roll call as a turning point for the ANC when you listen to his remarks. From your perspective, was this truly a pivot moment or more political theatre ahead of 2026?
Good evening, Ganda. Thank you for having me. Obviously, you are very correct because we are preparing for the local government elections in 2026. I think we should be expecting to see more of this kind of optics, and you can actually even refer to this as deflections to try and create an impression that the ruling party is serious about the question of governance. So they are definitely not, because if they were indeed, with the current situation of so many municipalities in the hands of the ANC, and not just looking at the question of the Auditor-General's report, but the COCTA itself has a list of municipalities in different categories, those that are functional, those that are medium, those that are completely dysfunctional or even collapsed. So there are some measures or efforts that are in place to try and make a determination. And so if the ANC or if the president was serious about this, talking to the ANC politicians, he would have already taken action against those who were, because these people are already sworn in as councillors. So they are swearing in means that they are taking up the responsibility to perform and deliver services. So if they are failing, they don't need a roll call to tell us that they can renew their allegiance to South Africa. The president has what it takes. There are enough instruments, the intergovernmental relations instrument within the government structures, but also within the party itself. I'm sure that there are also ways of bringing in the discipline. Right. So there is no way at this particular point in time with the roll call that we should think there is any serious action or weight from the president.
You summed this up as deflections, but despite calls for renewal, several councillors still face corruption allegations in the ANC. What practical mechanisms are in place to indeed hold local leaders accountable beyond just public declarations?
Are not, and that is why we need to, we should not be hoodwinked as South Africans by the president that now we are talking to the councillors, we are renewing our commitment to South Africans. No, because there is no commitment even from the highest echelons to the rank and file and say, this is the marching order. I think the question for renewal of the party has not actually materialized so far, and maybe they are trying to give us, a smoke screen at this particular point in time to seem as if there is some concrete action that is being taken, but there is absolutely no convincing movement at this particular point in time that the president and his team are serious in bringing in the question of public service delivery, especially within the local government part.
Well, also interesting at this gathering in Newzroom were Gwede Mantashe's rebuke of disorderly councillors. It does point to internal discipline issues within the ANC. What does this then say about the party's current internal culture, and can it be reformed in time?
It's not possible, Ndandla. The ANC is a big ship, and I think sometimes we don't understand the nature of the party itself. It's a massive ship. So it takes a long time to turn it around. And it is absolutely not possible at this particular point in time to think that by the time we go for elections next year, that the municipal system will be optimized and that the local government system will be rendering services to the people of South Africa. So we need to see real action. And this is why I said earlier that if there was some seriousness in all this and that this was not rhetoric, that we would have already seen a lot of real consequence management to those who have not delivered, because these people are currently employed in the local government, that they are responsible for the implementation of their integrated development plans within the municipalities. And if you go down to the residents and ask what would they love to see their municipalities doing, we know that you will be inundated with service delivery needs. So for the president or for the chairperson of the ANC to seem to be serious at this point in time, we needs to be clarified better for us.
Let's stay with that theme. Municipal dysfunction was a central theme also at the roll call. Why do you think previous turnaround strategies have failed? And what makes this new action plan different, if anything?
Oh, it is not going to be. So, and I think that's a very important point you are raising, Tata, because as far back as 2004, there has been a number of interventions. You will remember there were interventions like Project Consolidate. I think it was around 2004. There was the municipal turnaround strategy. You remember the former minister, Shiteka is late now. And then there was also some interventions when the late Pravin Gordhan, as well as the minister, coming with some interventions back to basics. And now we have got an intervention called district development model. This is outside what the ANC is trying to do. What we know is that these interventions are highly politicized. They have not, proven to be. Some were a bit scientific, but there was always a lot of political interference in the manner in which decision making has been taking place. So that political interference has actually led to the collapse of local government. Political interference happens at various levels. It happens when there is an appointment of officials. Sometimes we think that this would happen when they appoint senior municipal officials. But in some cases, it's even pathetic that you'll find fights around, very junior position in municipalities that they want to see a cadre deployment there.
Yeah.
It also happens at the financial level when we see supply chain management processes and procurement processes compromised because they have got material interest on who gets the contracts. And this is where you see that they would then create a very toxic environment that kicks out professionals within the local government sphere.
Prof, with many residents in metros like Johannesburg, for instance, still facing water crises and failing infrastructure as well, how should voters interpret the ANC's claim that good work is indeed being done here?
Is no good work, and I think the voters and the residents need to stand up and confront the leadership in local government, because these people are supposed to be at our mercy. They forget that the reason they are in local government is because they are there with the ticket to provide service delivery. But what we've seen is that they come in there and serve either the interest of a political party or their own interest and the interest of their cronies. And this has been happening for many, many years. And I think residents and voters have actually not reacted enough, in my view, to really send a message to politicians that if you are going to take up the leadership role, you need to remember that this is not in your own interest, but you need to have an interest and love for your people and for your country. So it looks like we have attracted very wrong type of people in our local government who go there and serve themselves.
Perhaps this segues quite nicely into one of our leading stories this evening, as the DA has named Helen Zille as its mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, for instance. What do you make of this, Prof?
So DA has made some calculations, in my view. They realize that ANC is losing support at a very fast pace, but they are not gaining from that support from the ANC. So they have now decided, in my view, to field a candidate that would be able to lure support that leaves ANC at least to come to them. And also remember the Action SA factor and the other smaller parties, the BOSA factor. So DA realizes that the competition from BOSA and other and Action SA, it's actually largely from the former, especially from the voters, especially black voters who used to vote for DA, would rather be voting for those parties. I think it is those kind of calculations that the DA realized that we need to field in a very strong candidate who will be able to contest that space and to the benefit of the DA. So it's a very tactical move that they have done. And I think if they really deploy it very well and start to send proper messaging, that can actually work to the DA's advantage to a very, very large extent.
I guess it then begs the question as to how can the ANC then rebuild trust, especially in communities where the service delivery has been poor and councillors are often invincible between elections?
One of the major problem of the ANC that they have actually neglected, and this is my view, Nhlanhla, is that they have not found the leadership that can be trusted within the communities. And so they are struggling to a very large extent to find people who will be able to speak to their own constituents, because they have completely lost trust for the mere reasons that they have not been able to deliver basic services. In fact, it is worse than that, because service delivery under ANC has collapsed, and we have not seen any meaningful interventions from the ANC across the board, in local government, in provincial government, and in national government, that we can trust that they will be able to stand up for South Africans. There are a lot of cries across the board for leadership, and we are not seeing it, right from the rank and file member all the way up to the leadership. So this actually tells us that there is a dearth of leadership within the party, and they are struggling to find people that can connect with the residents and the voters to say, we are still the party with the same values that Nelson Mandela and O.R. Tambo and their contemporaries have been preaching. So for now, I think it's a sounding board. We hear a lot of noise, but there's hardly any action on the ground. And I think this is why we see the party itself struggling. But they also don't know how to translate their party policy into a implementation within the government as a ruling party. And I think that is where they have actually shown a huge gap to translate themselves into becoming a party in governance that would be able to demonstrate their competence, their agility, and their responsiveness to the needs of South Africans. So I think the electorates and the residents are judging them based on those gaps that have been that they're experiencing.
Right. Perhaps as you wrap, also touching on what the president has said, he stated that, and I quote, "Without you doing anything, we are dead." They're speaking to their councillors. Do you believe the ANC's survival then is now fully dependent, especially on local government performance?
So it is not just what I believe. In fact, many studies that we have seen, students doing surveys, research, they demonstrate that many people relate with government on the basis of so their perception is informed by their relationship with local government. So in other words, if you want to lure a lot of voters in South Africa, it is your performance at the local government sphere that will send a proper message. And I think that is where the ANC has failed dismally, because we know that majority of the municipalities that are under their belt have completely collapsed, if anything.
Thank you so much, Professor Kedibone Phago, for being honest to us, giving his insights as the ANC's roll call at the FNB Stadium may have filled the dome, but what fills the hearts and minds of voters will be action and not just speeches, from what we gather, as we head toward that all-important 2026 local government elections. South Africans will be watching not just for plans, but for proof as well. Thanks to the professor, and we'll be keeping a close watch if anything turns at this so-called turning point for the party.